Jonny Athletic in studio for one more segment. Lots of good text that we will continue to explore and examine. Real quick update on the Wolves ownership announcement. Is it imminent?
No, it's not imminent. So one thing that has come to light about this whole process for me is that there were more steps to happen than their hearing in December. And so there is another face-to-face hearing that they have coming up on the 10th, I believe it is. And once they go through that, and it's kind of the final review of testimony and all of those things, then the panel will have 30 days to rule after that. So we're looking late January, early February is probably the timeline for an ownership ruling.
So it's going to be milked yet for a while.
Oh, yeah. It's a legal process. It does not unfold quickly.
No, apparently it does not. Clippers in town tonight. What do we have? You guys seem to be on the head coach a lot to the point where he's getting annoyed with those of you who are demanding a change to the starting lineup. What's that all about?
Well, it's hilarious because the Timberwolves have not been playing well, we get assailed on social media. You got to ask the tough questions. And I tell them we ask them every day. And so in Detroit afterward, Chris Hine from the Star Tribune asked him about the starting lineup because his very first opening comment of the post-game press conference was, we were doomed by the start. And so the natural follow-up is, hey, if you're doomed by the start, do you think you make changes to the starting lineup? And then he says, you guys ask me about this all the time. And I don't know that we ask them about it all the time, but they've had this issue for much of the season, and it has come up before. And he made it crystal clear in Detroit that I do not view changing the starting lineup as some magic bullet. And so he believes in that the best way forward for this team is for that five to find some sort of chemistry that they have not had. I continue to believe that it's a problem group, that it just has not worked. Mike Conley has not played well. Jaden McDaniels, they do not have enough shooting around Ant. But Chris Finch wants to keep going with this and believes that the more time that he gives them, they will coalesce and things will be good. But, I mean, we're getting to the point where I don't know how much longer that you can keep running that out there if the group continues to struggle.
I guess this might be discouraging news for Wolves fans, but because everybody always hopes, well, there's some outside form. There's somebody we can get that can change the calculus. So do you think they view it that way internally? And do you believe realistically there is a trade out there that could, really significantly move the needle?
Yeah, I don't see one right now, Dan. One of the reasons is the Wolves are a second apron team, and in this new collective bargaining agreement, it makes it very difficult to execute trades when you're in that tier and you're spending that kind of money. But secondly, I believe that as of right now, on today going into this Clippers game, they view their most likely sort of pathway out of this rut is internal improvement, both from their starters. Maybe it is getting Dillingham going after he comes back from the injury. Maybe it's, a few other things that happen to click into place. But that, the idea of, well, we'll just go get De'Aaron Fox or, they're not trading for Jimmy Butler. Like they're not, there's not a lot of options out there for them that would bring in an impact player that would change the face of their team dramatically right now.
What is going to happen with Jimmy Butler?
It's a great question. I think that there are several teams when you look at it who needs a jump start. The Bucks could use something. The Warriors could use something. The Rockets could use something. The Mavericks, maybe now that Kyrie Irving is hurt. And so now both Luka and Kyrie are out. Phoenix needs a jump start. So there are teams out there that will explore it and will try and get something done. But you're playing with fire with Jimmy Butler when you bring him in, especially if you don't have some sort of preset agreement to pay him afterward. I mean, it's clear that is what he's after. And you have to commit long term to him, and that is a dicey proposition at this stage of his career. And so I think that there are teams that are hesitant to get into that business with him unless you're just completely desperate. Like maybe Golden State is getting to that point.
How concerned are you about Conley?
I am a little concerned. I would say I'm not. This isn't DEFCON 1, but I am concerned in what I watch now. In fairness to him, as we have discussed when Julius Randle is now there instead of Cat, and Randle is an offensive hub, I think that there are times when Conley has had a hard time figuring out his role, where he fits in. Chris Finch has talked about, we have needed him to be more aggressive. And I think that Conley is worried right now a lot about everyone else's psyche on the team. And he's trying to do a lot of different things to get people going. And that's a lot to have on your plate, including in addition to getting yourself going. But at the same time, you watch, he's not shooting the ball at all like he was last year. He's had plenty of open looks at threes that don't fall. The floater has been absent from his game. And defensively, he is not near what he was. And so, is this a case of his age is just catching up to him and he's fallen off of the cliff? It's possible. I'm not ready to say that just yet, but when you don't have an effective Mike Conley, it changes everything for this group. He is the brains of the operation. And if he cannot execute physically, that is one of the big reasons that they are having the troubles that they're having right now.
Let's finish up with getting back to the Vikings, and let's look ahead a little bit. We spent a lot of time on the game itself, and we will later in this show as well with Ben Lieber and even with Cam Bynum. But the Vikings are in the last game of the week, the playoff weekend, obviously, the Monday night game against the Rams. So what's realistic to expect? The Rams, this is a league where everybody studies the tape, and I'm sure they've looked long and hard about how physical the Lions defensive backs were with the Vikings receivers. I don't know if the Rams are capable of blitzing to the degree that Detroit did, but how do you feel about the Vikings' chances? I think you felt before the game, win or lose, this is a team you still think that can make a run. How do they ensure that they don't slip up on the road? Yeah,
it is going to be a challenge in terms of opponents. This is one of the more difficult ones they could face in round one because their coaching staff is going to be just like Detroit's in terms of really smart, have a great game plan going in. I also think that Matthew Stafford, as a battle-tested quarterback, is going to be a hard one to get off of his game. If their receivers are healthy, I love their running back, Kyron Williams. I think that they have a lot of things going for them that is going to make this a challenge. How do they do it? They just have to be a lot more precise in everything that they do than they were in Detroit. And I think that I will probably pick the Vikings to win this matchup. But the thing that has to happen is they cannot have Sam Darnold be blinded by the lights. And it sounds very rudimentary and very basic, but he's going to have to make some real big throws in the game to combat whatever Stafford's going to do against him. And he's going to have to be ready to face real pressure right in his face all the time. If he can hang in the pocket, get it down the field, and make the throws that he missed, they should win by 8 to 10 points. If he doesn't, if he's shaky and if he's pressing and he's trying to make up for last week, this week, then they're going to be in a whole heck of a lot of trouble, and they're going to have to grind it out. That's the fear, right? Yeah. Is that this is the first opportunity, first chance he's had. This is his first playoff game, right? Yeah. And you could even argue the last night's game was almost a playoff game, and that was going to be, if we're checking the boxes on Darnold, and he's checked a bunch of them this year, that was going to be the next one, right? Okay, now it's postseason. Can you handle it? And it's odd because it definitely looked as if he was skittish. It did look like he was seeing, this famous quote, seeing ghosts. Mm-hmm. There was something where every throw, as you know, was inaccurate. Well, not every throw, but a bunch of them were inaccurate, and mostly they were the ones that were high, right? There's no guarantee. There's never, that's what ultimately separates good quarterbacks from great quarterbacks is, can you handle the glare? And now the glare is going to be even greater because of what took place last night. He's in many ways a victim of his own success because he's been able to play freely most of the season. No one expected a lot out of him. All of this, the momentum got rolling. He's playing with house money and just being able to go out there and let it rip. Now we are going to see real expectations. Now he's knowing he's coming down to the wire on what happens to his career. But he said he wants to be here in Minnesota, but whatever happens to him going forward, there are a lot of stakes on how he plays. And the first time that there were a ton of stakes, I thought he played well against Green Bay, and that was a big game as well. But this is a different level.
Yep.
And so you are really going to find out a lot about how far he has come as a quarterback this year by how he responds to that. Because yes, this is all new territory for him. He has not been there before, and there's no way to prepare for that until you get into the huddle in that situation and go execute.
Clippers tonight, is that correct?
Clippers tonight, yeah, they've been good. They've been well coached. They've certainly impressed me. I was on with you before the season started and thought, without Kawhi, and all that they were going to fall.
He's starting to play
out.
a little.
He's
right?
starting to play now, so we'll see how long that lasts. But they play hard, they play well, and so this is going to be a big test for them tonight.
Johnny, will you be going to Los Angeles?
I will not be going to Los Angeles,
but you will be watching.
I will be watching
and reporting at some point,
and keeping an eye on things. And if they go deeper, then I think I might join my compatriot on the road.
I was just going to ask you. So it's possible the second week it would be back in the Motor City.
I mean, Dan Campbell said it. He told KOC, right? I'll see you in 2 weeks. So that's very possible.
Interesting psychological ploy, I thought, by Campbell. I almost, it was almost patronizing. Like, yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Like, big deal. We'll beat you again, but we'll see you in 2 weeks. I think he meant it as a compliment.
I think so, too.
I think that's what he was trying to do, right? Yeah. I don't think he was actually trying to diss him. He doesn't seem to be a guy who does that much.
I don't think so. No. Yeah, he seems like a salt of the earth, like good dude. Like it's hard not to root for the guy.
It is.
Like
it's very true.
It's really cool to see what he's done there.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for being here.
RBC Wealth Management sponsoring our segments with John Krasinski. Ben Lieber in about 30 minutes. Don't go away.
And now, famous moments in a
kick-ass
red zone
offense.
4th and goal for the Vikings from the 3. Darnold, shotgun, takes the snap, 4-man rush, looks right, sees nothing, swings to the left, throws, incomplete! Off the right hand of Justin Jefferson, who has outstretched arms for multiple reasons.
Join us again for another famous moment in a
kick-ass
red zone.
We call this Vikings Talking Point. Did you see the game?
Boom! Oh, come on. What? Will Riker kicked it out of bounds. He slipped, and he was trying to land the ball in the landing zone, I believe. They've been doing that of late, inside the 20. He slipped, man, and the ball went out of bounds at like the 9-yard line. So, hey, this is cool. The best offense in the National Football League gets the ball at the 40-yard line. Isn't that sweet?
Yeah, with 20 seconds left to go, and now they only have one timeout.
Yeah,
but still,
better quadruple Jamison Williams here.
Yeah, and the other thing is Bates, their kicker, has hit from 55 and longer, so he's done a really good job. They don't have far to go to be in field goal range.
Did you see the game?
Brad Rogers. Does everybody stand up?
Yeah, respotting the football.
Well, they've had play clock problems here at Ford Field all game. He restarts the play clock. And now for Reichard, it's a 51-yard try, right hash. 3 of 3 this game as well. Snap spot. Will Reichard's kick, end over end is up, and he missed it to the right. Will Reichard missed it to the right. And with 23 seconds to go in the third quarter, the Lions still lead 17-9.
Oh, what was weird about that? They moved the ball up probably 3 or 4, just about 6 inches at the most, and the whole unit, the holding unit, the whole thing, they moved up about a yard. So I don't know if they made the distance and the timing go off, but I mean Ryan Wright moved, like I said, a whole yard up, which is just bizarre.
All of it's bizarre, isn't it? And kickers. Just when I think it was reasonable to think we got one.
Yeah.
And we still might.
Right.
By the way, I mean, you can't give up on the Alabama kid,
yep.
But yeah, it doesn't get much more deflating than you get a field goal and you're going to get the ball to start the second half.
It's
at least
7-6
right? And
after
going,
all the nonsense.
I mean, we're not. We should be ahead on the basis of the opportunities in the red zone we've already squandered, but we're going to get the ball. Maybe we get a fresh start. Maybe perish the thought. The coaches get together and go, maybe not as many deep drops. Maybe we'll try some other things to do. And then you literally, well, I say gift the Lions 3 points. I guess technically we could have stopped them.
Could have.
But they're tough to stop in a situation like that. And it was one long completion, wasn't it? That they actually got 2 in a row.
They got 2 in a row. One of them was longer than the other.
One was longer than the other. And the second one made it not as crazy a field goal try. And so suddenly they get it feels like 3 free points, literally.
And all that work is just erased. It was such a pain for you to score the entire half. You finally do get another field goal. And you do kind of feel like, all right, not ideal.
Yeah.
Like you said, should be ahead. But at least, hey, we come out in the third quarter and who knows, kick another field goal. And we're up 9-7.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, you're thinking field goals are going to win it. And that's the one where it's changed in the last 5 or 6 years, and certainly with the Lions, who go for everything. KOC's done this a couple of times. It used to be, what was the threshold for time left to kneel it and just get to the half? I feel like the final minute was almost always irrelevant. Maybe 45 seconds, but certainly 20 seconds or whatever it was. And because of the Lions being the Lions, and then Riker kicking it out of bounds, I'm basically going to put my kids to bed after the field goal, because it's right before halftime. I told them they could watch till half. All right, let's go to bed. And you start walking down the stairs. You go, what? They kicked it out of bounds. Well, hold on. We got to watch, because there might be a play or two, and they do it. And completely erase what the margin that you just cut into.
I can't tell you how much I hate the new kickoff rule. I would literally rather have 99% touchbacks. I really would. I don't. It doesn't do anything for me. It's. I'm not saying one thing had anything to do with the other, but I don't think it's worth all the trouble about the landing zone and what are you going to do it here? Right. Are you going to do it there? I
still don't even really understand it.
And I don't know that I do.
I just kind of let him kick it and see what happens.
I think that's part of it. But it's all. I haven't been convinced that it's worth all the trouble. You know, that it feels like we're all going through. And I do hate that there is no such thing any longer as a surprise onside kick.
I think that's the bigger one.
And again, I know even in that era, it wasn't often very successful, but I would take that. By the way, speaking of that, what time is your apology to the Denver Broncos head coach, who you despise?
I still despise him. I'm not apologizing for anything.
Well,
we're happy for him. We
mocked and ridiculed his interest in Bo Nix and basically said, "Oh, come on, seriously." I'm not saying, he's going to win the Heisman this year, but he's played really well.
At times.
And, he's gotten better and better as the season's gone on. And I think they go to Buffalo, right? And that's a tough assignment, one would assume.
Yes.
Calcutta Clipper. This time of year, Buffalo's pretty good. Denver's defense is legit, though. They got a pretty good defense. And they had their way with the Kansas City Chiefs, who sat everybody.
I'm not going to give them too much for yesterday.
No, not for yesterday, but I mean, they've had a decent recovery. They haven't been in the playoffs in like 10 years, I think.
Yeah, they're 10-7. Yeah. They're solid. They're fine.
Cute little club is what you're saying?
Yeah.
But nothing that excites you all that much. I think for you, it's. But I mean, for you hate him so much that I don't think you're capable of giving him any credit.
I agree 100% with that statement.
Yeah.
I will never give him credit for anything. My kids have really gotten into the movie about him with Kevin James. They did a movie about Sean Payton being kicked out of the league.
Your kids have gotten into that film?
They love the movie.
No
and
kidding.
It just drives me insane.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So I think they're starting to troll me.
Do they know about your hatred?
Yeah, the oldest one does, for sure. Yeah. He kind of gets it. The middle kid.
So they just keep watching it over and over?
It's like on a loop.
That's funny.
Can I just get Wicked on this screen? No, it's the Sean Payton film.
Speaking of that, can you explain to me how it's possible that the former quarterback of the Tennessee Titans has a commercial?
Which one, Ryan Tannehill?
No. When I say former, he's been benched 2 or 3 times this year. He's been the starter for much of the year.
Oh.
What's his name? I can see him.
Yeah. I don't know. What is his name? Hang on.
He's done nothing in the National Football League.
You're talking about Levis?
And he's got a commercial.
Your guy? He does? Has he already been added to the backup?
Did I not see Will Levis in a commercial?
Has he already been added to the backup quarterback commercial?
I think he's
Case
got
Keenum's
one.
in?
I'm going out. I mean, what? How have we lowered the threshold for success to such a place? Yeah, you know what? Let's use Will Levis as an endorser.
He's available?
It's just, yeah.
Will Levis commercial. Hellman's Mayonnaise?
That's it.
Wow.
I think, yeah.
It's not Duke's Mayo.
Not Duke's Mayo.
I know that.
Did you get a jar?
Oh, yeah.
Did you got a few?
Yeah, I got a couple. They had 2 different options. They had a regular mayonnaise and then a spicy habanero.
And
Got
which
a
way
lot
did
of
you go?
kick. Well, I've tried both of them last night.
Okay.
To bring my kids back in. My 10-year-old wanted
So
to try
did you
it
get them
last
like
night.
vat sized or like
No,
small
just
jars?
regular.
Okay.
And they had the teams on there.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
It'll go in the office one day.
Yeah.
Once we're done eating it.
It was a clever recruiting decision that the head coach made to go full bore on whatever he was going to wear. Just take, in terms of the mayonnaise spill.
Yeah.
Whatever they did, because that. And who was the guy who was the
Flava Flav?
Flava Flav. Now,
What's the
here's my
C?
honest question.
Who is Flava Flav?
No, well, yeah, but here's my question. PJ made it sound like, Flavor Flav. Did he have any idea, or did he have to be told on the sly, hey, by the way, don't tell anybody because you're supposed to be surprised.
Yeah.
The celebrity in the costume, when he takes that costume off, is going to be Flavor Flav.
It's a great question. I wondered the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I would think he's of the age, because I am, that you would recognize him on sight, that you would. Mm-hmm. But I also know that head coaches like to be prepared for things. So my gut tells me somebody told him, but I don't know that for sure. But he hit the yeah boy so quick.
He did.
That's the other thing.
It may have been his best acting job yet.
He hit the yeah boy so fast that I feel like he didn't know.
Man, he just got obliterated by the Mayo.
And do you know what?
It's an unbelievable video.
It was. And
great photo op.
What you don't think about is that much mayonnaise carries an odor with it.
Oh, no kidding.
Like, mayonnaise has a scent.
Yeah, that's true.
But then when it's just caked on a person.
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of people.
They didn't do enough Mayo-related bits.
That's what I
during
heard.
the TV broadcast.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Next time, they need to be a little less subtle in that regard.
You should have been in the stadium to see what they were doing.
Yeah.
Bobbing for apples in mayonnaise, taste testing mayonnaise. The looks, the faces of people reacting to what they were doing with the mayonnaise, because it's 50-50. Some people love it and some people are disgusted by it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because as much as I like
it's
mayonnaise,
very polarizing.
We don't need it on everything.
No.
But PJ definitely, he had to hose down bad. Probably, I bet he's got the smell still.
Yeah.
Because it was everywhere.
Let's make this the bottom of the hour pause. Ben Lieber is going to join us in about 15 minutes. We got more Vikings talking points to get to when we return. Don't go. How about another Vikings talking point? This one we call Stop Calling Hero Ball Plays, Coach. Would you please?
Sam Darnold goes under center, takes the snap on 1st and 10, play action. He's able to run away from a couple of Lions for now, but then he's taken down back at the 3-yard line. Sam Darnold sacked for the 47th time this year. It's a loss of 17 yards, and it's Chris Smith in his first full year from Notre Dame. He's one of those guys playing because of all the injuries they have. He's a Detroit, Michigan native, and his friends and family are going nuts. 17-yard loss. Second quarter action, Lions lead 7-0. Welcome to Motown. Darnold back to pass, facing a blitz. Goes to the end zone. To Addison, incomplete. He overthrew Jordan Addison, who got a little tangled up with the Alabama rookie Terry and Arnold. So now it's 3rd and 10 from the Lions 36.
I like the fact that we're taking the shots. Because we block the blitz up. That means you're going to get one-on-ones down the field, and you're going to go the way of Jordan Addison. I like it. So it just seems to me that Darnold is just overthrowing things a little bit right now. He's overthrown Hockenson once. That throw there was a little bit overthrown. So I just want to see Sam settle down here a little bit.
And of course it's first and coming. Darnold throws incomplete. And that has been the story of the night. The Lions creating effective pressure, rushing Darnold, who is 18 of 41 on the night.
Like, these are cover zeros here. You don't have time to throw it way down there. These guys are running routes all the way down the field. You got to break this off or your quarterback's going to die. They're sending one more than you have blockers. And all night long, Sam Darnold has just been getting hit and hit and hit.
I know a lot of people find Chris Collinsworth polarizing, and I don't always agree with him, although I don't know who you would possibly watch or listen to that you're going to agree with every time anyway. But he's right on the money on there, and on that particular observation, and it speaks to what we talked about earlier, that Sam Darnold was awful. It was his worst game as a Viking, and it felt worse because of the stakes. So he's at the top of the list. And there were a number of other players who I don't think were on their A game, especially offensively. But the coaches got murdered in Motown. The Vikings coaches, as good as they've been this year, it's interesting because with Dan Campbell's persona, I think, as odd as this sounds, he may be a little underrated as a strategist because he's viewed as this. He's kind of got this, I don't want to say lunkhead look.
No,
but just like every
he's a
man
meathead football guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
biting kneecaps.
So then you start thinking, well, that's all it is with him.
No.
And you go, no, man. This guy's a smart football coach. He made the key, along, I'm sure, with his defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, who I'm guessing is going to be in demand as well for maybe a head coaching job or at least an interview or two. Made a crucial decision, and I'm assuming they were in lockstep on it, and they worked together on it, which we addressed much earlier in this program, where he said, we saw what happened to us against San Francisco. We're going to get murdered in Motown if we just lay back. So, yeah, we're throwing everything at them. We may get murdered anyway, but we have a better chance because we don't think they're ready for this. We don't think they're expecting this. Especially that they might not expect how often we did it. And so I don't think anybody, when you just listen to Campbell, should discount or underrate his football intellect because he's a smart coach, and they utterly and completely outsmarted all of our smart coaches on this occasion. Now, maybe if there's a rematch, we will have learned from it. Maybe at that point they say, well, we got to do something different. I don't know how differently they can play a second time around, but you don't want to get ahead of yourselves, obviously, because you need to win it. You need to win in Los Angeles before you can even talk about anything else, because we are in the 1-0 season.
We are.
To a certain extent, KOC stole that from PJ. He calls it, he describes it differently, but in effect, he's saying the same thing that PJ had.
We are in the Los Angeles Rams championship season.
That's it.
This week. And it starts right now, and the game is a week from tonight. Yeah. You know who also faced a number of blitzes on pretty critical downs over and over and over again last night?
Who's that? Was
Jared Goff. And you know who had seemingly the answers? And not just because Jared Goff is so much better than Sam Darnold, but that was another thing Collinsworth talked about. Goff talked about it and said, we think we know what they're doing, and if they're going to blitz, we think we know where we're going and where my hots are. Like when we sent the zeros, like the 4th and 5, when Metellus was a step late, like Goff had to make a perfect throw, but he knew exactly where to go.
Exactly it.
And it's like he had all the answers.
Was it a long route?
It was not a long route.
That's the whole point of this. We're talking with Collinsworth. You got to change whatever you think is your strength. And as important as it is to flex and get aroused by, we're a downfield wonder. In a given situation, under those conditions, with your quarterback as skittish as he looked, you got to give him some better answers. And you got to give him some opportunities maybe to make what would be classified as easier throws, even if they're more boring, even if you're not going to get lauded for the entire week about, did you see that 36-yard over-the-top play
right.
That the head coach, the offensive coordinator, KOC ordered up? You can't worry about that at that point. You have to find other ways to attempt to almost, in the chess match, force them out of what they were doing if you can get, 8-yard chunks every time that you're passing the ball as opposed to, 18 yards, because we got to. They're man-to-man. Nobody can cover our guys man-to-man. You got to get out of that mindset as the game goes on. You have to believe what you see. And what they saw was, for whatever reason, we're not getting those openings, or early, our quarterback is just missing people.
And even though Detroit didn't score in bulk until the end of the game, they scored enough, and they hit enough, and they weren't greedy about what they were trying to get.
No.
Right? And I know the Vikings defense did a great job in the first half, but Detroit seemed like they were okay with it, and they were going to just be patient throughout the deal and kind of wait it out. And when they, I know they went for a couple of 4th downs and probably got a little too greedy on one of them, but it just felt like they weren't as frantic about it as the Vikings were, in terms of what was happening defensively on either side.
It's a really well put together operation. There's no question. Let's do this. Let's pause and let's check in with our guy Nacho. Ben Lieber, how did he handle what took place last night? And more importantly, how he believes the Vikings can recover when they have to. Because if you don't recover against the Rams, a season that has been as fun as hell and as successful as hell, it's going to look and feel a whole lot different.